Hello, hello, hello. There it is. Oh, every single time I feel like I do that, you guys, I am so sorry. I was just saying I was having a rough day. I guess that explains it. Yeah, microphone's turned on now. Welcome, everybody. And I really am disappointed because I was welcoming Charlotte Jacobs, if I remember the name correctly. I was saying welcome to the party to all of our wonderful viewers out there. I saw Charlotte was a first-time viewer, and I completely blew my intro. Charlotte, please forgive me. Come back another day. I promise to try again to get it right. Who knows? Yeah, it was funny. I was saying I've been having a bit of a morning today. I said it's 5 o'clock somewhere, maybe not fast enough for some of you out there, but nonetheless, it is Friday. Fun day. I am a quilt maker named Rob Appell. I am very blessed to be working for Stitchin Heaven in Quitman, Texas, although today I'm in my home studio in California, and I am super excited to see all of you out there. So yes, I will get started, and if you've seen the videos before, you know I actually don't pay a lot of attention to what's going on in the live feed comments because I get easily distracted if you've seen my other videos before. So yes, I will take time to see who's all out there in a few minutes. And yes, I will certainly answer questions towards the end of the video. So feel free to be writing down there. Feel free to be engaging with all of our community of quilt makers out there. So I looked down and I saw everybody saying no sound, no sound. And so fortunately, I'm pretty excited to catch us. Oh, and I do look, I said I don't read them, and I see another one. Judy Smith is another new time viewer, first time viewer. So anyways, everybody, this is super exciting, super fun. Format for our Friday Fun Days is a live feed, kind of a catch up on what's been going on at Stitchin Heaven throughout the week. What have I been up to? What videos have we been posting? What other kinds of things do we have going on? Today we are going to quickly bounce over to the other side of the room where the long arm is set up and a bunch of quilt tops, because I forgot to mention the name of a few quilt tops on last week's video. So we will get back over there, and the blue one with the back on it is the one we will get binding. So I've got the table on the machine. I've got some good cameras set up over here. So in a few minutes, I will do a couple of the steps for machine binding on a quilt. I have 3 portions put on. So we will do the corner on the first round, and then we will flip the binding, and I will, I'll show you how I join the edges, and then I will flip the binding, and I will show you again how I capture the corner for mitered corners. I am doing machine binding, so I'm using the machine on both sides of the quilt, which I really like. The same technique will work wonderfully for those of you who want to do it and then finish by hand as well. So if you're interested in some sewing technique, yes, I have that planned for today. But let's dive into our announcements before I get too far carried into today, now that I have the audio back up and running. Do not forget, folks, March and April are the really exciting, what am I trying to say? First annual All Texas Shop Hop. I mean, all of Texas. This state is the size of most countries, and we have a ton, over 105 stores. Of course, we know that the Stitchin Heaven shop will be the best. You can actually vote for us to be the best, which we'd appreciate, but we're going to have all kinds of great discounts in store. We're going to have all kinds of extended hours. We're going to have discounts online. So that is starting March and running all the way through April, and so we'll be letting you know, those of you who are signed up via email, and of course on our website as well, so you can log in and see all of the extra special stuff we've got going on. If you've been following along this year, 2024, I have committed myself to making a lot of quilts. I want to do a bunch of basic quilt tops. The beginning quilting videos are trending very well right now. So when we get into the grateful list, you all are on it today. And then better than that, I am sewing along, and I wanted to do some slow projects that I have that I like a quilt that I can work on when I'm not working on the work side of what I do in quilt making. I like to have something that I can just stitch on a Saturday and a Sunday when I don't really want to be thinking about work. So I am doing Arabella this year. This is the pre-cut, Arabella block of the month. We had it available in both pre-cut and in standard. I'm afraid we may have sold out of both of them, but do note we have a beautiful block of the month program. We have all kinds of wonderful ones. I did, like I said, just post Arabella block number one, and which I didn't realize, but I think it's such a fun blessing, is I'd forgotten that other shops out there were participating. Of course they are, but I'd forgotten about it. So there are many of you that have Arabella from Wing and a Prayer Designs, but didn't have video instructions. So each month, basically the third Wednesday of each month, I will be doing month by month instructions. We started in February, so this was month one. Next this March will be block number 2, and we've got that prepared for you. And so that's really exciting. And I'm really having a fun time working with the beautiful batiks. I believe they're from Timeless Treasures, Wing and a Prayer. Arabella is the name of the batiks as well, and they're gorgeous. And a lot of the techniques that I'm picking up on from the pattern and speaking to the creators themselves has been really, really cool. So that's really fun. Hope you'll enjoy that. And as I had mentioned before, let's just dive right into today the grateful list. So if you have not seen before, we like to put up a little thing. I encourage us also, the well part of So Well is a little bit more about wellness. I'm a strong believer that working with my hands is really a key to some of my better sanity. I want to say insanity because I like to think that you all think that I'm a crazy guy, but it's really, I'm just very blessed and very passionate. So anyways, number one on the grateful list this week is a bit of rain. And when I say a bit of rain, that's kind of fun because we got the bit of rain in the different kind of cycles we needed it. So it wasn't terribly rainy. We had nice weather during the days, a little bit of rain at night. Our hills here in California are turning green. The reservoirs are overflowing. So that's really, really nice. I know a couple weeks ago we had some really terrible flooding in Southern California. And so at any rate, I like it when the rain comes in just the right amount. So we did have just a little bit of rain throughout the week last week, and that was pretty dang cool. Okay, back onto our grateful list. At any rate, so I have all y'all. So when I say that, I mean that intentionally, because look at this, folks. We have now hit 52,000 subscribers, and it's really, really going quick. And I believe that part of that is what I was talking about earlier. We've been putting up these really fun beginning quilting videos, like the easiest log cabin ever. Well, quilt makers, it's your favorite carefree quilter, Rob Appell from Stitchin Heaven over on YouTube, and I've been working on a super fun and easiest log cabin quilt block video tutorial ever. You can see I've got a bunch of fun example projects where we've done some real carefree or wonky quilt block making in this super easy and fun traditional log cabin. I will walk you through the steps of both the traditional ways, but also the free form, which I call the easiest possible way, where we're just going to go ahead and stitch and press and trim and make something beautiful together. Join me over on YouTube for a fantastic tutorial. Thanks again, and make sure you subscribe. So while you were all watching that, I ran over to grab the quilt top, and this is now a very, very special quilt top, and it will be even a more special quilt very, very soon, meaning that we're going to machine quilt this all together. But one of the things I'm really looking forward to is what I was saying on the third portion of the grateful list, which is my work family, the gang out in Texas. So last week, if you were watching the live feed, what we went ahead and did is we did a little bit of long arm basic free motion machine quilting on the New Year's Day quilt. And folks, as I start talking about some of these quilts today and mentioning the names of the quilts, please note that in the description below, I have links to the quilt kits and some of the tutorials. Maybe I should say that the other way around. Not all of the quilts I show today will have kits available any longer. I just double checked, and the New Year's Day Mystery Quilt kits have sold out. We do it every year. It's a mystery quilt. It's Tiffany Hayes and myself, and we love spending either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day teaching and sewing along live, but we have been providing quilt kits, and the quilt kits are pre-cuts. So I wanted to point this out. I did this little graphic earlier. So when you go to our website, stitchinheaven.com, let's back up. Go to our website, stitchinheaven.com, right? And then you can go directly to quilt kits. And when you come into quilt kits, I want you to notice that we are now putting up this symbol. In case you didn't notice what symbol I'm talking about, there's the symbol I'm talking about, and it is absolutely amazing. That is a no rotary cutter needed symbol. That is a pre-cut symbol. So what that really means is that when you get a quilt kit, all of the pieces are going to be cut down to the smallest unit you need to start the project. So if it's strip piecing, like a lot of the projects I like to do, we'll be sending you groups of strips, but in different sizes or whatever you need. If there are small triangles for half square triangles, let's say, they're going to be cut either into squares for 2, or maybe it's flying geese, so you'll get a rectangle with a corner lobbed off and a triangle to fit in, just like we were doing with the wing and the Arabella projects. So the pre-cut doesn't mean it's pre-cut fabrics like 2.5-inch strips or 5-inch squares or 10-inch squares. It means that your fabrics are ready for you to rock and roll straight out of the box. And that is super, super cool. So that was, I think, one of the reasons that so many folks loved the quilt kits we did this year. This was the first year we offered the pre-cut version for New Year's Day. So stay posted. We'll let you know towards the end of this year what's going to happen for our mystery sew-along. At the end of this year, I'm gonna show you the quilt, but I feel like last week I was a big stinker because I didn't give you all access to some of the projects I was showing. So I'm gonna try. I almost said promise, but I'm gonna try to do better and make sure that when I talk about something, you can really see it quickly. So anyways, that's in the description below for all of my new viewers today. There should be great links for you all right there. At any rate, so this quilt here, really exciting, really special. This is the easiest log cabin ever, a wonky log cabin, very special, but it was also a stress relieving log cabin for me. And we're going to talk about that when we get to number 4 on the grateful list, which is of course 12 years of recovery. It's been a big week for me and not a big week for Anheuser-Busch. Sorry, I just think that sounded funny. At any rate, but we were starting back with the work family. And this work family, folks, is incredibly important because for me, I am most creative when I feel most secure. And I love watching the company I get to be part of grow, especially in what I consider to be intentional, progressive steps that make a lot of sense. So I introduced you all for the last couple of weeks to our new cameraman, Elijah. Well, anyways, he went out into the warehouse. We are such a large company that sometimes when you get out to see us in person, you don't get to see all of the shop. So you're about to see a really cool video from that Elijah just filmed, but you're going to get to see a bunch of the folks that are behind the scenes. We do almost everything ourselves in-house, folks. And the gentleman you're going to meet, Scott, is actually Scott Hayes, Tiffany's husband, who's also a phenomenal long-arm quilter. So when I say we are a quilting family, I mean we are a quilting family. But anyways, again, Elijah, great job on the video, my friend. Everybody, please enjoy his work.
Hi, I'm Scott. I'm the warehouse manager at Stitchin Heaven. And as you can see behind me, there's quite a bit of warehouse back here that a lot of people don't realize we have. What we do here is we take our products that come into receiving from our different vendors and suppliers, distributors. We receive that product in and it goes to multiple departments. It could go to our bomb department to be cut apart for
Great
our bomb
outfit, by
kits.
the way. I can't stand it.
It could go to our retail store, or it could come back to our e-com department to be shipped out. Everything that comes through this door stays under these roofs until it gets shipped out to our customer, whether being a bomb project, a machine, a long arm, domestic machine, or all your e-com orders. It's all done in-house here at Stitchin Heaven. So if you find yourself visiting Stitchin Heaven, don't forget to stop by and say hi to us here in the warehouse, because we really appreciate your business.
Wasn't that great? Again, thank you, Elijah, and thank you all for supporting us at Stitchin Heaven. You know, we have over 70 employees in this little town of Quitman, Texas, and it's because of all y'all out, see, I said it, all y'all out there that we are able to strive. I almost said survive, but I want to say strive because obviously we are growing by leaps and bounds, and a lot of it are those awesome Block of the Month programs because we put so much work into the kitting that we do and selecting the fabrics or working with the designers to make sure we have plenty of their fabrics on hand. And so it's been a lot of fun for all of that. So anyways, let's go ahead and switch camera angles just because I promised it. Well, oh, you know what? Wait. I've got one more thing. Yes, I know you're all wondering, did I do a few of the tattoos you saw in the picture? I did one of them. It was moving fast. Not this one, but a few weeks ago, I mentioned to all y'all that I have been learning to tattoo. It's part of my recovery process. As an artist that is employed as a quilting artist, I'm always doing outside art that allows me to grow as an artist, and I almost said relieve myself, but I know what that sounds like in this silly junior high school brain. But express myself, run away from stuff, just be free to be creative in something that doesn't really count. When I'm making a quilt, I always feel like it should count. So at any rate, a few weeks ago, I started on a quilt using some of the geometry I'm doing in the fabric lines. Excuse me, I started on a tattoo and I got to finish it on Sunday. Now she would think she might like to have it colored in, so I've left it very light, and she's taken home a coloring page of it so that she can practice coloring and playing. But there's a lot of fun geometry in there that was created, and at any rate, it was just a real fun thing to get to do on that tattoo there. And that's some of the fabric that we've led to. And now look over on this side of the room, pretty cool. Okay, so yes, in a moment we are going to be tackling this quilt. This was that New Year's Day quilt, and I'm just being careful because I have my binding hanging from here right now. So real quick, let me see if I can show you. This is a really fun project featuring a star and a chain block. We did it in 2 different colorways. We quilted it last week, and the live videos become a recorded video at the end of the session. So you can always go back and watch those, but they're under the live feed still. So we're going to put the binding on that here in a second. Now, coming up on Wednesday, like I said, I've been making quilts very prolifically right now because I've just been feeling the need to make a lot of stuff. But I wanted to do something very simple. So I've created the very basic basket weave quilt and the instructions on how to do it. It's a strip piece project that goes together incredibly quick and fast and simple. So there will be a YouTube tutorial for that coming up next week. And then I want to take you all through some very easy machine quilting on this, but we'll do it on the seated machine. We're just going to go ahead and stitch up and down the rows, but with our free motion foot on a regular machine instead of kind of like what we were doing last week on the long arming machine. This will be a very good way to show off more of the design and the pattern, but a very simple way for me to explain some of the benefits of seated machine quilting on your own real nice little mid-arm machine, something like that. I've got my backing chosen. Oh, that's right, I already moved it over there for the easiest log cabin ever. That quilt, excuse me, here I come. This quilt, like I'm saying, I'm gonna pack this in the suitcase. So March 4th through 8th, I will be in Quitman, Texas, partly for that All Texas Shop Hop. So if you're in town, make sure you come and say hello. But also while we're there, I'm going to fully take advantage of Elijah, and I need a really good camera person to spend several hours with me real close and focused. One of the hardest things for me to do when I'm all by myself like this is to bring you all in close enough to see the quilting while it's happening, because I've got to focus on the quilting and the instruction and all of that, and I can't move the cameras around real well. I tried a few weeks ago with a robotic arm. It didn't work because it kept looking, it's like me, it got distracted by all the pretty colors in the fabric and it couldn't stay on task. So at any rate, when I get out to Texas, we'll be spending several hours in the film studio doing a bunch of machine quilting drills and skills and things for all of you out there with this quilt. So I'm really looking forward to this. I want to let you know what's kind of coming up. I've got the backing picked already here. It's going to be super fun. I'm using my green New Worlds bubbles. And again, links in the description below, the New Worlds fabrics you see. But last week, this is where I felt like I didn't do any of you the service you deserve. This is the other side of the quilting studio, and I forgot to even mention that. So you saw me walk right through. This is where I spend time with all y'all, plus spend all this time by myself and the quilting machines. So these are some really fun and special quilts, but I've been mentioning lately I love to work in basics because of the way they tell the story and the color. And no matter what fabrics you have, you can make the same quilts if you like to be that creative sort. I know there are a lot of you out there that really like to make quilts exactly like you see them, so we are trying to do more of that for you also. But I apologize to my Stitchin Heaven family. I've been making a lot of quilts lately, and it's getting even harder for them to keep up because I'm making 2 and 3 of these things a week right now because I'm having so much fun, partly because of that New Worlds fabric I'm so excited about. So the quilt behind me right here, this is called the Super 60 Sampler quilt. There's a pattern, there is a kit, there is a template set that you would need to use to create these shapes. It is all patchwork. We've had retreats on it. There are several tutorials about it. It also lends to the Cosmic Charlie or the Dupree's Diamonds quilts, which I just mentioned, and no, I forgot, those links are not in the description. I apologize, especially if Deb's watching today, but they're part of the Super 60 series. So that's a lot of fun. It's using basics. It's very simple, but like I said, I've color keyed a bunch of beautiful fabrics together for you all, and I've built a kit out of those, kind of like this one here. Now this is the Texas Starlight quilt. I think I'm saying, is it Texas Starlight or Stardust? I think it's Texas Starlight quilt. Now originally this quilt was done for the Better Homes and Garden Quilt Sampler magazine. When I first started up with Stitchin Heaven, they had just been awarded a position in the top 10 quilt shops in America for the second time, folks. That's a pretty big deal to be chosen for a second time. So originally we had this beautiful quilt using the Moda Ombre from V&Co, and it had a white background. Well, I love that, but I've got teenagers and dogs and cats and all that kind of stuff. So you can see I tend to generally go with darker backgrounds or busier, brighter backgrounds. And so I asked if we could remake the quilt in black. And this was the first quilt top that I worked. I didn't make the top. I got to quilt the quilt, but Tiffany Hayes made the quilt top for me, and every single seam inside of this quilt was pressed perfectly open. And that's when I decided it would be really fun to start teasing her about her passion for precision. And that's when she decided that Rob the Slob was a little bit more of a carefree quilter. And we've been having a lot of fun with our Team Rob and Team Tiffany shirts. And that's partly where we played up our wonderful video for the New Year's Day Sew Along and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I just wanted to give you a tour. I apologize last week if I didn't give you enough information. But yeah, these are a couple of my very favorite quilts and my very favorite spot in the room, basically. And the other quilt we should talk about, let's come back over here real quick, is this quilt right here. Now this quilt here is called the Synergy Remix, and it's part of the Splice Magic book. And this quilt here, a lot of the fabrics have recently sold out, but it was originally prints mixed with Benartex batiks. And so we're gonna go ahead and recolorize it and use my New Worlds fabrics and the Benartex Shadow Blush. And so we've got beautiful kits. I believe they're back in stock right now. And so anyways, that's pretty dang exciting as well. And pretty dang pumped up. So anyways, I want to give you the quilt tour. I feel like I'm going really long today. It was probably that terrible intro we started with. But let's go ahead and remind ourselves of the most important of my week, this 12 years in recovery, the thing I'm most grateful for. So yes, if you didn't hear the story, I am a recovering alcoholic. It has been 12 years and now 3 days since my last drink. And I always treat myself to a new coin. And this coin here says the best view comes after the hardest climb. And so it has the 12 on the front. It has the Unity Service and Recovery emblem from the Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's just a really exciting thing. So I posted a video. This is what the cover looks like. Please go and check it out. It's just about a 5-minute video of me driving my old beat up car with my buddy and my coin and my quilt into the backcountry to try to get to a waterfall. It was a blessed day. I got a bunch of wonderful photos. Here's the final photo I got that I really like. But funny enough, folks, that was not staged. That was a like hiking post sign with a rock and a leaf already there. Now maybe somebody else had staged it. I don't know. But we jumped out, took that picture. Got a couple of fun solar flare shots with the quilt on the car after I just replaced the broken headlight that had fallen out. Here's a real fun picture of the coin up close, hanging on that easiest log cabin ever project. I really like the way this shot glows. Coin doesn't show perfect, but a little bit better here. So maybe you can see it, folks, nice and close there. And it's just a real special time for me, but I have to integrate this back into the whole comment about all y'all and the work family. The things I'm the most grateful for, because I do still struggle with depression, folks, and I know a lot of you are in the same boat, and that's why you're quilting here with me today. So we're not going to spend very long on the soapbox, but I will remind you I'm a true believer that working with my hands has really helped me get through a lot of the struggles that I have had as a recovering alcoholic or an alcoholic early on. Not exactly, well, we won't even go into all of that. That sounds like a therapy session starting up. But let me just remind you, we are here for you. We will encourage you. We've got a bunch of wonderful video lessons. I just binge watch them and grab your stash and stitch along with us if you're having a low day. Part of what I really experienced with that log cabin quilt was, as I worked through the project, it was just really good to be around all that fabric and all of that color. But the amount of support that you all offer me back when I post things like I did, thanking me and reminding me of what those 12 years of service have really done for my wife, my 2 kids, my parents, my in-laws, all those folks around me. And so what you all do to encourage me is huge, and I'm sure there are other folks out there that could use encouragement as well. So let's go ahead and spread that encouragement around and make sure we're really taking care of the whole community. I really needed you all this last couple of weeks, and thank you for being there for me. And if I can continue to be there for you, my email address is rob@stitchinheaven.com. If there's anything I can do to maybe talk personally with you about some of those struggles. I am definitely not a counselor. I am simply a dude with a chemical imbalance that likes to make stuff. But I've been making stuff for a lot of years and balanced for 51. So at any rate, I love you all. I'm glad you're out there. Let's get to some stitching, folks. I promised you all we would do the binding on this quilt. Let's see if we can't get her done here pretty quick. And then I will come back in and I will address the comments. Although there was one thing I really wanted to say about recovery, because I saw some of the comments out there. I'm really sorry for those of you who commented and your family members didn't make it as far as I did. Whatever that meant in those comments, you can tell that it's a hurtful thing to know what you're going through. But I'm glad that I can help support you, because I saw that comment more than one time, and I've met more than one person in my quilting and sobriety journey that have really made me feel like what I'm doing is the right thing, because somebody in their life didn't make it this far. So anyways, for those of you who shared that with me out there this last week, I'm really sorry for your losses, and I just wanted to address that personally. So now, okay, let's dry these eyes, folks, and get back to our quilting project. I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure that if I said nothing else all day, that's what I said. Okay, so I got to find my binding. I want to talk about what we've been doing. We are sewing on. Let's see if I can actually go to overhead camera real quick, bring this all back together. We are on the back of the quilt. I have been doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance with the raw edges. So my binding is folded right sides out. I've rolled it into a nice little ball, and I've clipped it with one of my little Stitchin Heaven clips so that it doesn't get away from me. I have this one last corner to do, and as we come around this corner, I'm going to show you how I miter it. And then we're going to do a little bit of stitching until we get over to this tail. So the other thing I've done is I've left myself a tail that is not stitched down, because we're going to miter into this section here in just a second. Okay, so stick with me. There'll be a little bit of sewing time, but let's go ahead and go into the sewing machine camera here. And now I've got an edge guide on from right where I left off. I've got my blue thread back in, and I'm just going to come back about 1/2 inch. And as I start, I'm going to back up to secure. I want to engage my needle down function, so that as I come to this corner, and you might even be able to see, I put a little black mark on my foot at roughly 1/4 inch back. So when I'm 1/4 inch from the edge right here and 1/4 inch from the needle back, I want to go ahead and back stitch again and go ahead and cut my thread. So that should have secured that stop point about 1/4 inch back from the corner. Now what I'm going to do, oh, and folks, by the way, I have a full-length video on how to do this. I just in the middle of the binding, and I thought you might like to see it today. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take it, we're going to fold it up, creating a straight line here. Remember, that's our folded edge. And then when I bring it all back down this way here, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have to do it in my eyesight here in a second, but I'm doing it for all y'all. I like saying that. I'm going to line up this edge. I'm going to line up this edge. Try not to hit the camera again. And then I'm going to line up this edge to make it all perfectly square. So as I bring it around, I fold it up. I keep my finger in there. I bring it back down. And hopefully you can see when this edge right here lines up, all three of those edges lined up. Now you're at a perfect 90 degree. I'm going to come into that 1/4 inch mark where we tied off. And now I'm going to back stitch in, and now I'm going to keep on sewing. Now we would keep sewing all the way around the quilt. We're going to do that at all 4 corners and work our way back to our starting point. That starting point is that tail that I had left. Oh, and by the way, I'm on my handy quilter. This is the HQ Stitch 510, and I've got my accessory table on. So I've got a nice flat bed for working, which I really like. Helps keep all the quilt flat so there's no dragging. Just readjusting. I've got that edge guide on, so everything's just butt up against it. Okay, now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to stop, and I've got this thread tail here about a hand's distance. So real quick, let's do this. Let's backstitch and cut threads. And I backstitch so that I can secure the project. Now, we want a good amount of space in here. That's at least my hand, right? Maybe even longer. If you're using print fabric, this is a lot easier to do than if you're using solids because it's a little hard to see. You want to leave a large gap here so it's easy to twist our fabrics together. But you want to leave a small gap here so that you keep the distance appropriate. What we're going to first do is we're going to let the first fabric lay over at least a couple of inches, 2, 3, 4 inches past where it was originally connected. And I'm going to just cut it. Now what we need, I had it down here somewhere. I've got a perfect 2.5 inch ruler. There it is. Okay. Now what we need is a 2.5 inch overlap because our binding is 2.5 inches. So now with everything nice and flat, nothing pulled, nothing tension, I can come in here and I can cut that 2.5 so that I have a 2.5 inch overlap of my fabric pieces. Okay. Once I have those, I'm going to take and lay them technically right sides together, bringing the bottom corner to the outside flat edge, folding the quilt, wadding it up, standing on my head, and praying it all works. Now, we do need to come in and get the binding, or the foot off. So one of the things I really should have had handy is, and I know you can't see it perfect, sorry. There we go. Is a straight pin. So right at the second, I don't use them very often, I'm going to throw a straight pin through here just to hold everything in place. I'm going to take off this edge guide slightly by spinning it out of the way. I'm going to come over here, bringing in, whoop, sorry folks, didn't mean to hit you there. This, and this is why we normally do this kind of stuff recorded versus live, because it's easier to get you a nice pretty photograph or video. But sometimes we just got to do what we got to do. So I'm looking for this top corner. See it? It's a mess up in there. But I'm looking for that top corner. While my pin's there, I'm going to drop my presser foot. I'm going to get a couple stitches in to hold it. I'm going to get everything nice and flat. I know this looks terribly complicated, but it really isn't. I'm sure that I've overdone it just by trying to explain it. Just go ahead and pull your binding tails nice and flat. Line them up with your 45 mark. Don't sew over that pin head. Not if you've already started your video without your audio on and cleaned up piles of dog messes in your home this morning and all those kinds of things that can happen. Okay. So now I want to see if I got it right. So what I do for that is, as it came off of the machine, I just pulled it taut. And you can see now, oh, let me see, make it sure. There, I'll hold it still. Sorry. There, I'll hold it still. Making sure that everything's in there perfect. When I lay it over, I have my mitered corner. Once I confirm that my miter's in the correct direction, because even after this many years of doing it, every now and again I make a mistake. I hand trim this out. I should tell you to press it with an iron, but my iron's not hot. So now I'm just going to pull it flat, and we're going to get back over to this seam allowance. And I've got one last trick to show you with that edge guide. So now what I want to do is I want to park my foot back where the thread was, because I need to realign the edge guide. See how easy that works? Now, picking up my sewing, and you can see I've got a teeny bit of slop in here because of the way that I was, I'm just going to say it, manhandling it. But as I sew over, I can create a little crease. It's not going to be a big deal. We're going to back up because we'll catch it on the other side. We're going to flip this over. Okay? Now the project is getting flipped 100% over. And just to show you, this is the area we were just kind of working in. So I'm going to take my binding now and I'm going to start to roll it forward. Find where I want to position it, roughly that 1/2 inch or so in, like we like. Now I'm going to move my edge guide over. When I move the edge guide over, I want the needle to mostly secure this edge of the binding. Now I'm going to start my stitching. Presser foot comes down, start my stitching. And this, now we're sewing right into that area that we just made a big sloppy mess out of. And you can't even tell. We're going over that seam gap right now, staying on the edge of the binding. And I'm just going to stitch for a second while we're hanging out here. You guys enjoy talking to yourselves as I get us to the corner. Once I get us to the corner, I can walk us all through how we're going to take on that miter, and we'll call it a Friday afternoon. Now, I'm about 4 inches out. Oop, I let my fabric get away from me. That happens when you're not paying attention. I went to adjust and my binding slipped out, so all I'm going to do is re-catch it because it's just a quilt. We're going to keep moving on. Now, I'm about 3 inches out, 4 inches out, 2 inches. Now, hopefully you can see where we're at. What I want to do is I'm going to take, in any of this excess thread and stuff in here, let's just go ahead and take a moment and trim it out. We're not really in that big of a hurry. Now I'm going to take the lower edge and I'm going to fold it up, and the upper edge coming down, I'm going to fold it down, and I'm going to create, hopefully what you can see is a real nice miter right there. Some of you might want to go ahead and use something like a stiletto, scissors. Remember when we had those purple things on sale? Those were perfect for that. But what I like is my little stiletto. So I'm folding up, catching the crease, really pushing that in nice and taut. And then as I come around, I'm going to pinch it with my stiletto, holding that target. And as soon as my needle gets on top of that V, I can lift the presser foot with the needle down. I can rotate the quilt because the machine's not moving. And now I'm just going to go ahead and keep on stitching down the project, the binding. You can tell I'm at a loss a little bit for words today. Now, on the back, I've got matching thread, so you really can't see what's going on, and it's working perfectly. So this is a bit of a Team Rob, Team Sloppy way of doing things, but it gets the binding on very, very nicely, very quickly, very efficiently, and with a nice machine like the 510 or any of these single straight stitch machines that have a little bit more oomph in them, boy, they handle this fabric beautifully. So at any rate, that's what I'm going to be doing as soon as I pour that coffee, unless you would all like to see a little bit more. Oh, I see Kentucky just logged in. That's pretty cool. Okay, so Nancy, no, that's the foot that came with your machine too, I believe. Nancy, that might be a lie. I'm sorry. This might be my foot from my older version of this machine that I took over. I don't know. I'll have to double check on that, Nancy Gilbert. Very good question. I love it. Okay, hey, let me run back here, speaking of great questions, and let me see what I have missed while all of you have been enjoying each other. So let me see here. Thank you very much for the inspirations. Right now I'm just going to look for questions to make sure I haven't missed anybody's important info. Thank you all for celebrating each other as well. Day has already gotten better. Thank you very much. Okay, I think I'm down to the point now where there's no sound. Okay, good. So now let me scan for some questions. All right, did anybody find ACJ? I don't see her out there yet. I see Carl was looking for her. All right. Yes, the log cabin. I really am loving the log cabin. Laima, am I saying that right? I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm not. I apologize. Oh, that's right. I wanted QuiltCon. How is everybody enjoying QuiltCon out there? That looks awesome. Yes, Connie, this always is on YouTube. The videos that are live, they end up as recorded later on, so you can go back and watch them. The comments kind of lay in as you're watching them, but they're under the live feed. So now if you go to YouTube, you can see like live, shorts, videos, that kind of thing. So yeah, check out the live feed there. And they are recorded, especially when I try to do little lesson plans like we did today. Thank you all again for the congratulations. It really has been a huge blessing. The Lord has been very, very good to me, and I really believe that I'm right where He wants me to be right now. Sherry, thank you for your service with the fire department. I appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Yeah, marked my foot. Yeah, because you just can't see sometimes. That a little Sharpie and a presser foot can go a long ways, huh, folks? It's amazing what they don't teach you in quilting school. All right. Oh, thank you all again for the encouragement. Other than Nancy's special presser foot question, I believe we've got them all out there. And yes, there is a video on the full binding. It's another one of our very popular videos. So we have playlists available on YouTube. You can check it out under the more popular or the Learning to Quilt with Rob videos. Oh yeah, and by the way, I forgot to mention, you all saw the quilt while it was on the long arm last week, but you don't take them off the long arm until they're all done. So quilting turned out real nice, real easy. It's what I love about the fabric once it comes together and the batting's in there, it just feels so soft and just like it's ready to be loved on. And this one is going to a friend of mine who happens to be a veteran, served in a couple of different of our EMS and things out there. So anyways, it's a long, exciting weekend ahead of all of us. I hope you all have a wonderful time being very creative, doing something awesome out there. Please enjoy the easiest log cabin video ever. It is, like I said, doing incredible things for getting new viewers to YouTube, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate all of our new viewers that are here today with us live. Thank you again for all of the support. Sorry I was a bit maybe off the mark a little bit, but if you've watched my videos or if you go and watch my other videos, you're like, the guy's always off the mark a little bit, but that's what we love about good old Rob. He would be rather be quilting than talking in front of the camera any day, so let's let him get get back to his quilt making. Anyways, folks, thanks again. Making sure I'm not missing anything else. Awesome. Thank you again. All right, folks, have a great weekend. Check out the video.